Good morning. Today is April 11th, 2016. My name is Christopher Moan. I'm a senior at Salem State University and I'm a history major. As a part of one of my classes, we're doing a oral history project with veterans, and today I'm joined with Colleen Nollett. She is a veteran of the United States Navy. Thank you for joining me today, Colleen.
Thank you for having me.
So I understand you grew up in Lynn. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
I was born in Lynn, went to private school till 3rd grade, switched over and went to Lynn Public Schools, Hood, then Marshall, and then followed on to Lynn English. Graduated from there in 2000.
Awesome. And you're the youngest of 3?
Yes.
How was it being the baby of the family?
My sister and brother beat me up, but they're older than me, 3 and 4 years older than me, so it's kind of we were close, but not as, I was separated, so.
Are you guys close at all today?
My brother actually lives downstairs from me right now. My sister moved to North Carolina, but yeah, we're close. Me and my brother, me and my sister, not so much.
Okay. And I understand that both of your grandfathers served in the military?
Yes.
Did that influence you in any way to join?
Not so much. My dad told me when I was a sophomore in high school that he put himself through college, that we were me and my brother and sister, we're gonna put ourselves through college. And I was like, can't afford that. So I had a Marine Corps ROTC in my high school. And I actually wanted to be a Marine. And my grandfather, who was a Marine, talked me out of it to go into the Navy, because he didn't think a woman should be in the Marines.
So, is that why you chose the Navy? Sort of the conversation you had with your grandfather?
I was more choosing technical route, computers and such, and Navy and Air Force were the best programs for going a more technical route, where the Marines had some, but I'd definitely be more infantry based than I would be more technical side. So.
Okay. Did you have any inclination that you might be deployed when you first joined?
Oh yeah, I knew I would. I didn't know that a war was going to start in a year.
What was your initial reaction when you first heard that you were deployed or being deployed?
The first time I was deployed, I had to send my daughter up to my mom's. She was 18 months. And we went over to Persian Gulf and floated in the Persian Gulf and launched planes and bombs. Well, we floated. I was on an aircraft carrier, so we sat there, and for 6 months in the Persian Gulf, it was my job. I literally worked on missile systems and guns on the ship, so if we weren't out to sea fighting a war, then I didn't have a job.
Right.
I was a teacher. So.
What were your parents' reactions to you being shipped off?
Well, my mom's, my baby, but my dad was like, all right, I'm ready.
He I'm
ready to go ahead.
Grasp it than your mom?
Well, not that a better grasp, it's just that it's my life. It's not, they're not controlling me.
Right.
I'm not doing anything bad. So, was he gonna try to talk me out of it? And it doesn't make sense for me.
How about your daughter? How did she handle it?
Well, she was only 18 months at the time, so she was going to stay with Nana and Papa, so it was probably the best time of her life.
Yeah,
she was being spoiled by her grandparents for a year. 7 months is what I actually ended up. We had workups and stuff like that. So she left in September, and I came back in July of that following year, which is right after her 2nd birthday. So it was 7, 8, 9, 9 months of from between 1 and 2, a little older than 2. So not that she remembers much.
Must have been harder for you, obviously.
The later times she remembers.
Yeah.
The last time I was deployed, she was 7. Yeah, she was 7 when I went to Iraq, and I actually sat down and had a conversation with her. And not that she knew what Iraq was, but she's seen it on the news, heard what's going on, and hear it in school and stuff. And she asked a bunch of questions, which, surprise for her age, was just I mean, I always honest with her, so anything she asked me, I told her. And her and my dad had like a map that they used to. Mama's
So she
here.
knew where
Mama's
you were.
here. Like when we were going around South America, and we caught on fire after we went through the Straits of Magellan.
From a missile, or how did?
No, we were doing. People were smoking where they shouldn't have been smoking, and we were about to do a fuel transfer with a smaller ship and had to emergency breakaway. Fire burnt for like 14 hours
Wow.
in the middle of the ocean, so it was kind of. We didn't lose anyone, so that was awesome. But they literally, that trip, they followed me all around South America. You know, with the updates, they're probably 2 weeks behind. You know, when we pulled into Brazil, and we're 2 weeks out of Brazil, then like, oh,
Right.
the aircraft carrier George Washington pulled into Brazil. So.
What was some of the questions that your daughter was asking you when you had the second conversation with her when she was a little older?
Why I had to go, why they chose me, would I come back, which I don't make a promise to, like, if I would say I promise, I don't ever not keep it. So she asked me if I could promise that I would come back, and I told her I couldn't.
Oh my God.
And that was the only one, like, I was like, honey, I can't promise you that. And she started crying.
That's
and
really
I was
tough.
like, you know,
Wow.
that was the worst. Because she knows me, and knowing that, you know, I won't make that promise if I can't keep it.
Yeah,
And I told her I couldn't.
that's really tough.
So.
But
It was my job, yeah. It was definitely tough, and I definitely bawled my eyes out. Like, it wasn't easy by any means.
what was life like on the aircraft carrier?
I was one of, 300 females in a group of 7,000 people.
I was going to ask you, what was the ratio from women to...
On the ship itself, I want to say it was, no, that was Iraq. That was 500 to 1 in Iraq.
Wow.
But, I mean, with 7,000, and there was about 300, 400 of us, so. I mean, that's with a air wing on board and a full deployment. Ship's company is usually right around 5,000, but that's still a good, 100 to 1?
Yeah. What were the
Guys to
relationships like?
What do you mean?
Did you have a mixed relationship with both men and women? Like,
I had a lot of the, sounds horrible, but a lot of the women were not they were in very desk-ridden jobs. I mean, yes, they were on the ship, but they were working in admin. They were doing payroll paperwork. And there was girls everywhere, but my rate itself was a fire control technician, and we weren't, females, I say we, weren't allowed to be fire control technicians until the late 80s. So I had no senior females where I was. It was all guys. I have to go other places to find senior females. It's very lonely place. There was 2 girls in the division of 45. So.
did you find that you were treated any differently being a woman in the
All the time.
Navy? Yeah.
Yeah. The day I checked on board the ship, I walked in to my division office, first meeting him, and the first thing he said to me was asked me when I was going to get pregnant.
Wow.
We were going on a cruise, so it was a legitimate question, and they had just lost, I want to say it was 50 to 100 females in the year prior to deployment, so they don't have to go out.
Through them getting pregnant?
Through them getting pregnant, because if you get pregnant, you can't be deployed, obviously, if you're pregnant. And then you have the child in 6 months after the child. So you're looking at about a year and a half. You're guaranteed to be on land. So a lot of girls did that, which I already had a child, and I looked at him and I put my hands out and I said 18 years, 6 months. And I think I'm gonna go for the 6 months. And he just laughed at me. He's like, all right, we'll see. Because in my rate, the ship got commissioned in 92 and I reported in 2003. And not, in my division, not a female hadn't finished their full sea tour. So you're looking at 21 years of history of him backing him up, you know, so.
What was like an average day like on the aircraft carrier if you were on duty versus off duty?
We were out to sea. It was 12 on, 12 off. I'd spend most of my time in combat staring at a console that linked to all the radars and to the missile systems, basically defense of the ship. And then, I mean, you ate obviously 3 square meals a day, but certain times they served. So, I mean, it was, you're with these people, it's with people that you don't like. This was in my shop that I couldn't stand, like, could not stand him. But we worked in the same 5x5 shop. And
every day.
I had to talk to him all the time and pass down when something was broke, because I'm a technician as well. So when I wasn't operating the consoles, I'm fixing them and showing, you know, electronics, signals, radars, you know, this isn't coming in here, this isn't going there, and I'm proving being a technician basically. So it's very hectic.
But stressful.
It is, but at the same time, it's, you have something to do constantly, which I like. I don't like being in limbo with nothing to do. It's like idle hands. Like, what do? I gotta do something.
Yeah, I'm gonna ask you about that a little later.
Okay.
So off duty, what was off duty like on the craft carrier?
Well, see, the first time, right after we came back from the first deployment, we were actually in the yards getting fixed. So we had to switch over our weapon systems and stuff like that. So we spent a good year on land, which I got to bring my daughter back down to Virginia with me, which was awesome.
So you're in Virginia now?
Yeah. George Washington was home ported out of Norfolk. And in 2003, January is when we went to the Persian Gulf. And we came back in July 2003. We're in the yards for a year. Went around South America, caught on fire. You know. It was fun.
How did you and your fellow Navymen cope with the war and being away from home?
I always took it as it was my job. It's something I signed up for. Like, I didn't have a child prior to, you know, signing this contract, but I signed up for 6 years. So this is what I signed up for. I'm not just gonna quit, you know, like that. It didn't seem like an option to me, so I might as well do what I have to do and finish. And I obviously ended up re-enlisting, but I figured at that point, I'm like, I've already done my sea tour. Like, that's 5 years at sea. I get to actually spend time on land. And of course, that's when I got my orders to Iraq, before I get to spend time on land, which was due to a difference of opinion with one of the guys on the ship.
Can you elaborate on that, or?
Yeah, no, it was my division officer, and not the first one that I was telling you about. They switch over about every 2 years, but he checked on board, and it was just very, I'm not gonna say flirty, but he just said the wrong things. Like, I was doing a maintenance check on a battle lantern in his office, and it was above his head, and I was supposed to hold the button for 10 seconds and see if the beam lasts 10 feet. So I was doing the battle lantern check, and it was on my tippy toes. He was like, why do I feel like I should be putting dollar bills in your pants? And I was just like, okay. Like, and I didn't say anything. It was just, why are you saying that to me? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then at that point, I had 3 girls that worked under me, and they had pulled me aside and said that, you know, he put them in a headlock in CSMC, which is the main combat system maintenance center. So I went to make a report with, what is it, sexual harassment, I guess? Sexual harassment report. And we sat down and we had to pull in one of the senior females, because at that point I was the senior female in the division. So we had to pull another one from the department to be in there to sit in with all the girls and the divo. And after everything is said and done and everyone laid out, what was said and what he couldn't do and, how inappropriate it was, we walked outside and the female chief looked at me and she's like, "You never would have dealt with this in my division." And I was like, okay, why are you saying that to me? And he came out after that and he's like, "Now we just can't have fun." At that point, eval time where you get evaluated. So I had you have to take a fitness test twice a year, and I had prior failures because I had to be within weight standards 6 months after I had my daughter, and I gained 63 pounds. So I had a bunch of failures due to not making weight standards, and they were about to drop off. So it was 4 years, and you had this option to, if you have any prior failures, you can give them an adverse eval and pull their recommendation for attention. And he did that. Took my recommendation, took away all my pins. So I basically went up as what was a 4.0 sailor, and he took it all away from me, and I had to get that bad eval off of my record before I could actually do any, because I was a secret security clearance, so I couldn't work certain places if I wasn't recommended for attention. So I spent a year in Iraq waiting for that to drop off.
Was there any way that you could prove that was a direct result of sort of you finding
No,
a
because
sexual harassment?
it was it was an instruction. He was within his rights to do it. He just didn't have to. Do you know what I mean? It was an option, and he just took the option. He was like, okay, well.
So there's no real way to prove it.
There's no real way to say that it's a result of this, but just, well, how can I screw her, I guess. And then that's the way he did it.
Wow. That's tough.
Hey?
But you were able to finally get the ill recommendation or ill...
It still sits in my record. I still have it at home. I didn't, in the Navy, it's part of your advancement as well, so I never advanced after that.
Wow. Did you ever find yourself questioning the war while you were deployed?
Try to figure out, you gotta see, like, being over there, everyone wanted to pull out, being at home, and it just, we went in there and stormed the place, and then you want us to just walk away? I was there on land. I told you I was in the sea in 03, but I was actually there on land in 08, and in that 6 years, it's still broken down. I mean, we were still getting shot at every day. It wasn't like anything had died down. Like yes,
really
there wasn't as many Americans dying every day as the numbers that were in the beginning of the 2000s and stuff like that. But I mean, I was in Iraq for a year and probably shot at like 400 times, mortars and rockets. I mean.
So you didn't really see any sort of progression happening?
We were moving places, but it definitely was not what it was in 03, where everyone was fighting. It was warfare and guns all the time. I mean, it was died down to the point where you could drive around and have your M16 on you and not feel like you have to have it on your shoulder the whole time. But I mean, I never left base. I worked on the Gatling gun on base, so my job was to stay there. Why would I go out? But I mean, we drove up-armored Humvees on base. You don't drive up-armored 9-inch thick windows if you don't expect to get shot at. So it's not an easy easy life, I guess.
Did you ever question anything you were asked to do?
Well, there's some stupid things that, and any job that you do, it's like, why do I have to do that? Right. It seems so, boot camp, why do I have to hold my clothes a certain way? Because the attention to detail, they only fit a certain way. And it actually, later in life, matters, like little stupid things, like doing a report in class the other day. One of my fellow students, we're in a project together, and why are you putting it in PowerPoint format with the Bertillon School of Business? I said, because number 1 on the assignment said, put in PowerPoint on the Bertillon School of Business template. So that's what I did, because that's the first thing that he asked for. Like, it's explicit instructions. Yeah, there's stupid shit in there.
So let me rephrase. Was there anything that you disagreed with that you actually spoke out against or actually voiced your opinion about?
Not really. I didn't speak out against anything. I mean, I didn't keep my mouth shut for the most part.
So there were things that you disagreed with that you sort of just had to bite your tongue about?
Well, yeah. I mean, all the time. With stupid idiots telling me that they want to put dollar bills in my pants. Like, yeah, I wanted to punch him in his face, but did I? No.
So
you don't get treated the same as a female in the military. Everywhere I went, no matter what command you went to, you check in. It's like, oh yeah, you're useless.
Really?
And that's we were moving into when I was working at the Surface Warfare Officer School in Newport, Rhode Island, and we had to move computers. So I went down and helped the guys move computers, and they're like, I've never seen a girl out here doing it. Like, why would I not come help you guys? Like, yeah, I might not be able to move as many or carry as much as you, but that doesn't mean that I should sit in the office while you guys move everything. Like, this is a team effort here.
So you felt that the entire time you were in the service?
One of my last eval debriefings, he literally said to me, you'd be my #1 sailor, but you're a single mom. And I was like, okay, so what does that have to do with anything? And that's what I said to him. And he said, you can't devote enough time to the Navy.
Because you had a child?
Because I had a child, and I didn't have her father around. So somehow that made me less of a person, according to him.
Wow. If you had the chance to go back, would you still enlist?
Yeah.
You would?
I miss it.
Is it, as you said before, sort of the structure and the set list of things that you have to do and you're always busy, that kind of, is that what you miss the most?
Yeah, it keeps, I met a lot of awesome people, and it's just, most of the people shared a sense of what I was saying, where this is my job. It might suck, but I have to do it. So we're all hating life together. You know what I mean? So it's not so bad, and everyone signed up for this. So it's not like one person's getting singled out or screwed in a sense. It's, I don't know, you're all in it together.
It's the camaraderie.
The camaraderie, like, you have certain things to do, certain times to do it. Yes, mustering sometimes is the dumbest thing in the world. Phone in, hi, I'm still alive, but there's a reason that it happens.
Right.
And yeah, I just don't, it doesn't happen from what I've seen in the civilian world. Now granted, I went from high school to the military to college, so I haven't really had I had a civilian job, but when I was like 16 in high school, so I'm kind of worried about that.
So what should the general public know about those who have served in the military that are coming home?
What is the general, all the time when I hear about vets, it's like PTSD, and everything. Yes, some vets have PTSD, but it seems to just be, oh, you're a vet, you must have PTSD.
So the assumptions is,
and it's
sort of annoying.
Well, like, I went to an appointment at VA hospital in Bedford. Now, I told you I have a child. I walked in and she comes out and said, Mr. Nollett. And I'm like, oh, you mean Miss? And she said, Colleen Nollett. And I'm like, no, it's Colleen. And they have me listed as a male in the corner of my medical record. I'm like, okay. I had a child, so can I have my millions of dollars for, having a child as a male? Because I want it.
So going off that, did the military provide everything that they promised you when you first enlisted? Sort of like healthcare and financial aid, medical assistance?
I probably could have got into the financial aid a little more. I took an English class and a criminal justice class, but they covered all the expenses, and I mean, it was a little bit of paperwork. I probably could have had my associates. A lot of my shipmates did that, but my time at home was spent with my daughter, trying to build that life. Not that, school wouldn't have helped that life, but it's just not where my focus was, I guess.
What would you say to your daughter if she were to want to enlist? Would you?
Go ahead.
You'd be for that?
That's what she wants. It's her life. I mean, I had fun. I saw great places. I would do it again. I honestly, it was a big debate getting medically separated or re-enlisting. Like, that's, if I went down to the medical road where I got my knee replaced and stuff, I would likely get medically separated. If I didn't go that route and stayed in and dealt with the pain, I could have become a naval officer and been a nurse, which is what I wanted to do. But I go that route, and then I'm leaving my daughter from when she's 10 to 15. So that's, to me, it was like prime high school girl years. Like 10 to 15, that's when a girl, grows up. And I'm not going to be there for that. And she already doesn't have her dad. Like, it would be selfish of me to, I talked to her about it. Like, I talked to her about everything. And she was, oh yeah, mama, whatever you want to do. But I think in retrospect, if she looked back when she's 30 and go, my mom left me for years on end. So it's scary.
So how do you feel about being home after having served? Obviously, loving being home with your daughter.
Of course. It's different. It's the non-structure and just attention to detail of people not, like, I don't understand. Especially in college, like, you have directions and certain things to do at certain times. Like, why can't you make
Why can't they?
the deadline? Like, why can't you do them? Why can't you just follow your instructions? Like, this is your whole structure right here, boom.
So do you feel like having served in the military sort of gave you like a better sense of structure and how to go about doing certain things at certain times and not sort of procrastinating?
Well, procrastinating, but it's just to say, do you want to better yourself or do you not? Like, that's...
So the maturity factor.
Yeah, like, okay, you're gonna sit in class and not do your work? Like, why are you here?
Have there been any obstacles that you've had to face since you've been back home?
Yeah, I'm old and I feel old in class. Dealing with kids that are 4 or 5 years older than my daughter, like, it's literally, I don't know. I took Kira to school. February vacation, she came to class with me because I didn't have anywhere for her to go. So, she's walking around and she's just slightly shorter than me. And people, like, listening to her, a 14-year-old's opinion, she's like, of what I'm dealing with. It's amazing. It's like, yeah, that's what I deal with every day, Kira. She's like, Mom, how do you do it?
So, I'm not sure if you've been following the political race at all. I've sort of been on and off again, but are there any issues regarding the veterans that you'd like to see them talk about or address?
I don't like what they're doing with, I don't know if this is military-wide or just Navy, but like my rate, I'm a fire controlman. Well, they're trying to pull the man out of, like, a corpsman is a corps person. Like, they're trying to pull the man out of it because that's
sexist or
I don't even know. Like, I think it's stupid because it's been a corpsman and a bosun's mate since. I mean, corpsman's one of the first rates. I'm not talking about but you're gonna pull that out? Like, that's taken out of our history, and I don't know.
So you're against them changing the name?
Why? Like, what's the point? Yes, I don't think they should, but I think that might just be Navy, not service-wide.
So, let me see.
Buttons.
How can those who have never served show their support for troops?
You know, one of the best things that when we were going and coming back from Iraq, now I don't know if it's a group, but we flew from South Carolina up to Maine, and when we got to Maine, there was a group that saw us off, the local veterans organization, but it was mostly older ladies, but there was probably like 50 of them just waving to us as we're going off. Like, it was the weirdest thing. None of us knew any of them, but they were there when we left to go over from Maine to, would we fly? Ireland and then Kuwait. And then on the way back, we flew into Maryland, and as we're coming through customs, they were waiting right outside customs, like literally a line of 50 plus women, mostly. I mean, there was some kids in there and a couple of guys in there, but just giving us hugs, thank you, like, welcome home. And that was one of the awesomest, I guess, displays of support, I guess, yeah. For a war that definitely was controversial, and a lot of people, like, regardless, I mean, this is a war, this is my job, this is what I have to do. Does it mean that I'm for or against it? No, but that's my job. So these people that took time out of their days to greet us, I think.
What about veterans that aren't so easily identifiable? Like, if you weren't sort of returning home.
Would you pinpoint me as a veteran?
That's what I'm saying. I wouldn't necessarily, but how would someone like me who's never served in the Army show admiration and support for the vets that aren't sort of wearing their uniform or aren't in uniform and unidentifiable? Just sort of. I
mean, on campus, you could, I guess, be part of, and there's the vet center, but truly in the city, I mean, I don't know what you could
like hang a flag outside of your house, kind of.
Be there for, show pride in your country. I mean, that's, yeah, hang a flag, walk around, say thank. I mean, Veterans Day and Memorial Day, for some reason, I haven't figured out why both, but thank you for your service all the time. And not that I don't appreciate it, but it was something that it'd be like, thank you for going to college. I really appreciate you going to college. I'm like, I chose to do that. Not,
you sort of see it like
that's,
you don't need to thank me. It's just,
you don't, like you said, you don't need to thank me. It was my choice. I wasn't forced. It wasn't like a draft where, oh crap, I'm 18, here I am going to the mill. Like, no, I chose to go there. Did shit happen while I was there? Yeah. And, it's stuff that will mold the rest of my life, but I don't regret any of it.
Is there anything I didn't touch on that you'd like to talk about?
I don't know what you want to know.
I think I've asked pretty much everything I have so far, but thank you so much for taking the time to be interviewed.
Well, I'm glad I could help.
Appreciate it.